or in totality. I know the members of parliament will be voting clause by clause when it gets to the floor, but Kenyans are not getting, they're not taking that. So we'll be talking about that. We'll be opening the lines for you. There's a lot to discuss today. One of the things I really wanted to discuss is party dissolution, and Musalia Mudavadi saying that they're dissolving and joining. I know David Ochieng. David Ochieng is your MP?
No, he's the MP for Kenya. I'm from the Great Republic of Alex. The House of Lords. It's called where the Garden of Eden will land.
So I know David Ochieng is already, MDG is actually doing the members drive. I don't know why he's doing it on the ground. He should have gone to Migori first, you know, to do MDG membership drive. But apart from that, David Ochieng spoke very passionately against the presidency, and he said the jobs, the way they are being given to his cronies and friends and his community. That is David Ochieng. You know what he did? He shifted allegiance after using Azimio to win back, right? That's the truth. That's the truth. That is my friend. He's my friend. I'll not use those terms. Apart from David Ochieng, Mudama, the chairman of UDA party, yesterday spoke, former chair. Why former? Just briefly, because I'm still doing my introduction.
Because you see, he cannot speak that way if Mudama, indeed is still the chair of
he has not withdrawn his support for the president. But probably he's withdrawn his support from the party.
He supported the party UDA, and instead of being rewarded, he was given a job like cleaning toilets.
Yes, a messenger, which is not wrong, and we're not degrading and degrading.
Parliamentary Service Commission.
We're not degrading any job, so even that is a job.
It's also a good job.
It's also a job. It feeds Kenyans. And those are the things Kenyans are doing currently, Fred, to make a living.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
So Mudama spoke. Then the deputy president also spoke. There's a lot of voices against the government, even within government, and I think that space. Probably I would ask you, gentlemen, do you think what Azimio has been doing in trying to squeeze the members to remain within the party, you know, they were saying it's not undemocratic. Why is it that when we show that we are like Esther Passaris, Akina Jalango, there's a lot of noise, yet KK has been very accommodative. The lady Wamushomba, look at the way they have accommodated her, right? So that democratic space that was opened also by Kenya Kwanza, perhaps is doing a disservice to them. But that's one of the things I wanted to talk about, party and all that. We'll have another opportunity to talk about this. But let's talk about the finance bill. Gentlemen, what happened last week for me was remarkable in that I didn't believe that Kenyans can get to a place that they're so dissatisfied. And now it's a real threat to the members of parliament. We just had Wakili here, what he said. The people are, to say the least, disgusted with what's happening in the country. Occupy Parliament is coming on Tuesday. Boniface Mwangi told me that, Ken, you have to join this. I'll be joining to cover it. But the kind of
He's still joining, but he's still joining.
I'll come to cover it. The outrage that we have witnessed in Kenya. Where is this taking us? Where do I start? Let me start from you, Fred, because you have the camera. This outrage that we're seeing, this passion that we're seeing with Kenyans, and knowing that Parliament has numbers, Kwanza supermajority, they took your members. Are these guys going to listen?
Ken, the finance bill came from Treasury. It went to Parliament, it was committed to a departmental committee called Finance and Economic Planning. Then it was taken to public participation. The people of Kenya gave their views, and the experts in tax gave their views. I cannot remember any member of the public or any expert in tax that approved of that bill. They say that bill is punitive and a bad bill for our economy. The Kenya Association of Manufacturers said if this bill is implemented as is, then we're going to have job losses. They said the economy will not grow. Now, the departmental committee, we are waiting for their report. We'd want to see if they have factored the views of the public. We normally say the principles of public participation is such that the views of the public must be factored in the final decision making. Because when you do public participation, there are three things that you must do. You must inform so that the public knows what are they participating on. Then you must involve so that they are part of the process. And you must empower them so that you put the decision making in their hands. We saw in the Finance Act now, where the public rejected housing levy, it was passed. The public rejected double taxation of fuel, it was passed. And many others, taxation on mobile transfer and so on. This time, Kenyans are woke. And I am impressed, as Azimio, the other day on Friday, we said that we applaud Kenyans for having taken the initiative of going above board and using social media activism to look for their members of parliament by the hashtag #FindMyMP. And they have given them instruction. They have told them, we want to see you in parliament on Tuesday. We want to see you taking a vote. Absenteeism is a yes vote. Yeah. And we have told them. Now, let me tell you the reason why Kenyans are unhappy. Kenyans are unhappy because we have a regime in parliament, or rather in Kenya, called Kenya Kwanza, that its economic policies, its economic plans are not for the common man that they claim they are supporting. They said that they will support the hustler, the mamamboga, the middle class. Let me give an example today. They have introduced what is called environmental tax, eco-levy. That eco-levy, the impact on the common man is massive because it's going to affect the packaging. When you buy bread 400 grams, that is retailing at 65, it is projected that it will increase by 9 shillings. That is a cost increasing. When you buy Pampers, when you buy packaging on oil, cooking oil, it is increased. They have also said that these young hustlers who are using the creative industry to do their business, they shall be taxed on what is called
digital tax.
Digital tax. They have now renamed it. They're calling significant economic presence tax, and they're discouraging. They're actually discouraging the foreign investor on the digital economy because they are taxing the income 20% and the local 5%. They have said that they will ensure that the car you own, Ken, that car, you should pay 2.5% of the value of the car, and they give you a minimum of 5,000. When the budget was read, you noticed they removed the cap of 100,000. So they are telling us that they will do whatever they want to do with it. That is why the people of Kenya are angry. As Azimio, we have said that budget estimates that were read by Professor Nduguna Ndungu do not reflect economic growth of this country. That budget does not cover the effect, the concerns of the public. But most importantly, the finance bill that now going to finance that budget is the worst thing that has ever happened to this country. We are asking the people of Kenya, the members of parliament. We know from Azimio, we have instructed all our members. Honorable Junet Mohamed, our whip in parliament, minority whip, gave a clear instructions to all Azimio affiliated members that be present and participate. Sifuna, SG of one of our affiliate parties, ODM, wrote a letter to all ODM members of parliament and told them that you must be present. The public have also instructed, whether Kenya Kwanza, whether Azimio, whether which party, that that day they want to see you. But not only see you, they want to see how you vote because you represent their concern. If you, member of parliament, cannot represent the concerns of the people, then they will have a date with you very soon.
Willis, Senegalese president, Diomaye Faye, set new measures to lower country's cost of living, taxes and custom duties imposed on importers, removed subsidized price cuts on essential commodities. I mean, this 44-year-old has taken the lead, and everyone is saying, this guy is a Kenyans listening. Is the Kenyan government listening to them? Your take on the finance bill and the outrage that has accompanied?
You know, first thing in regards to Senegal, since Faye was elected as president, he's only visited one country, Mali.
Neighbor.
Jirani. Just Jirani. Ours, since he was elected the first 3 months, had gone to almost 13, the first 3 months. Now, look at it this way. He's identified priorities. His primary priority is to give his people comfort. He has given up on his own personal comfort and foreign travels. So that budget that will have been
even rejected presidential cars.
Yes, he's rejected. So he's living an austere life and giving his people comfort. So you cut on the fat, the president is fat, you cut on his excesses, and then you give people a cushion. So there will be no demand to collect more money from your people to keep the president being fat. In Kenya, our president wishes to keep growing fat. He doesn't care the state of the people. So what he's doing is raiding your pockets. They have messed up this country through the debt finance. 80% of your local revenue goes to debt finance. You are left with 20. Instead of starting by saying, in this economic scenario, let me look at areas to cost cut. and I start with myself. Him is saying, no, me, I'm going to leave the ball alive. But you Kenyans, I'm going to squeeze you to get whatever little coin is in your pocket to pay that debt and to maintain my extravagant lifestyle. So the finance bill as it is going to lead to what I've called a fiscal collapse. We are going to have tax anarchy here once it passes. And this is how this will happen. With all these new measures you're introducing, they are beyond the capacity of Kenyans to pay, even if they wanted to. I normally give the example of motor vehicle circulation tax. I take third-party insurance. And why I do it, I can't afford comprehensive. Because my comprehensive cover is 200,000 Kenya shillings. Now you're telling me, I ran away from comprehensive to take third-party. Now you're telling me to pay more than what I ran away from. That I'll pay now 300,000 Kenya shillings for a comprehensive cover of my motor vehicle. What I will do is very simple. I'll simply not take insurance. Or those of my vehicles which are in comprehensive, I'll reduce them to third party. So you are going to see the insurance sector, at first instance, they will not meet their turnover targets. Right? So they are going to reduce their workforce. The people will have lost their jobs in that sector. They will not be able to participate in this economy like they were doing before. Yeah. So even what you're earning as VAT will go down. So this is what you call an act of self-immolation. They are committing suicide. The Kenyan government is committing suicide through these tax measures. Because people will not pay, not that they don't want, but they will adjust their lifestyles.
They will scale down.
They will scale down. And let me say this, I've heard some people saying that Kenyans must pay tax. I must make it clear. Kenyans have been paying tax since the Mzungu came into this country. Kenyans pay tax. Even today, without the finance bill, they are still paying tax. Right. What Kenyans are protesting against is unrealistic tax measures being imposed by Kenya Kwanza.
With no corresponding growth.
And there's no corresponding growth. And in fact, what we are saying, we're even making this noise, we are actually trying to help Kenya Kwanza. Because we are telling them, you are going into a fiscal collapse, tax anarchy with these measures. You are going to lead to massive job losses. Manufacturers are going to close down shops. So that whatever you even collected this year, you will not achieve the target. Last year when I was in your show, I did say with the same finance bill, that on average, what Uhuru was collecting in his last year was around 170 to 175 billion Kenya shillings. Yeah. That time VAT on fuel was 8%. Ruto came up with VAT on fuel at 16%. He came up with housing levy. He came up with the pay as you earn, increase for certain bands up to 35%. And I said, these people have reached the Laffer curve. You will not meet the revenue target you're talking about. Look, the results are out. Up to end of May, they are collecting 1.9 billion. So with all those punitive measures,
100 billion more, only.
Only after punishing your people so much, you've only collected 1 billion more than what Uhuru did without these punitive taxes. So it actually strengthens my argument that this country has reached the Laffer curve. There's nothing more left. And in fact, for this particular year, I'll be surprised even if they hit the 190 billion per month target with these new measures. Okay. There's actually going to go below 180 billion in my estimation.
Okay. Javas.
Ken, I have got good ears. I listen to the people when they speak. Today, I can assure you, we all know that the economic circumstances and fortunes of Kenyans are in the doldrums. And we need the economy to move forward. We see how ambitious the bottom-up economic transformation agenda is. Yes, and the president said that these projects, they need financing. When you look at it, we appreciate that while taxation for development and progress is an inevitability, as long as governments run. But I think looking at the finance bill as shall be tabled next week, one thing that the membership of that committee has now, they are putting ink on their report, is that the public participation that was conducted must mean something.
Correct.
It must mean something. That when Kenyans speak, they should be listened to. And when you look at it even from the campaign period when the President, William Ruto, was in the campaign, he said he listens to Kenyans and his hustlers are at the center of his heart. We want that when the finance bill is tabled next week, we want to see reprieve being presented on the floor of that house for Kenyans. We want to see that when stakeholders spoke, their words meant something. That when Kenyans said they want it easier by various proposals, even some of them deferred, that it should mean something. Now, remember that when we sent our elected leaders and nominated leaders to that house, we sent them there to work for us. Yeah. That work must be demonstrable by way of the debates in that house, by way of the voting in that house. Now, it's not a question of sending Kenyans on the path of trying to exercise their political rights and democratic rights every now and then for them to be heard. Now, we know that we are going to have Occupy Parliament on Tuesday. Do parliamentarians really want Parliament to be occupied? We want it occupied by themselves, making sense by service. But when Kenyans think that parliamentarians are not listening to them, they will come to occupy. And we want also that when that happens, issues of violence, etc., should not happen. Trigger-happy policemen and women, etc., should not happen. But in closing, I would say this, Ken, that Finance Bill 2024 should make life better for Kenyans, not hard.
The president said the other day, Zach, that petitioni budget haraka sana wa Kenya wapate, was it, what was
Stima.
it? Wapate stima. The petitioni budget haraka. I mean, for the president, this is a done deal.
Yes.
They're not going back to it. Now, I have listened to everyone. I have hosted a lot of people on this table in the last 1 week or two, talking about the estimates and the move by the government to increase, because what they're doing is attempting to increase the revenue through taxation. I am yet to hear one talking positively about this, right? They pick two provisions. I think the provision on per diem and some other provision, only about two provisions, I'm forgetting the other one, as progressive. The rest they're saying apana. So if everyone is speaking against this, and the president, for him, it's a done deal, who are they listening to? And that goes back to the question that is raised. Will Kenyans' voice count on Tuesday when the debate begins?
Thank you, thank you. I will answer your question directly, because sometimes I like debate when it is tackled directly. The president is listening to the people he must listen to. The Bretton Woods institutions are the one he is listening to. Don't try, Ken, to find out why the president is... the president has been told by World Bank, IMF, and another one, IFC something. If you want us to continue funding you or lessening the pain for your loan, do this and recover our money. So this is a Bretton Woods institution budget that is being presented on Tuesday. That's why the president say it's a done deal. Nyinyi mkuja asubuhi tufanye hii kitu mpitisha vile iko as is. So expect this. One, he has called them tomorrow.
PG.
I'm told he has a PG tomorrow. So tomorrow he's going to just tell them that he expects total loyalty, absolute vote and loudness in expressing the support on Finance Bill 2024. But what he's going to do is very easy. He's going to ask Kuria Kimani-led committee of finance and national planning to do very small things. Edit the bread. And I hope you can call either of us here. Remove for bread, instead of 9 shillings, riveted 2. Add 2 shillings only. Then he will tell them, go to these eggs business, because he has removed the taxation that Uhuru had imposed to ensure that eggs are not competing. Eggs from Uganda, Tanzania and other regions are not competing with ours here, to strengthen the farmer. He has removed that tax. He may impose it a little bit lesser. All these things that you are making noise about, especially motor vehicle that Senior has mentioned here, which of course also I will suffer a lot. He's going to remove it from 2.5 to 1.8 or 1.5 tomorrow. So when the table, the proposals are tabled on Tuesday from Kuria-led committee that is in Naivasha, wherever they are, including public participation there, they're going to remove these things. Just as he said, if you remember, housing levy had been put at 3.5. If you guys remember, 3.5. When you made a lot of noise, it was reduced to 1.5.
To where it should have been.
Okay.
To where it should have been.
Yeah, but yeah, where it should have been.
Yes.
But yet, it is something that we didn't have. It is a new taxation that we did not have to bear, as they are putting it here clearly. So the president is listening to his masters, the West, the global North institutions that have a history of dictating stronger and struggling economies, are telling him where to get money. And let me tell you, they are very lucky to have imposed near the president advisors, economic advisors of Bretton Woods, including the central bank governor. Indeed. All these are alumni of Bretton Woods. So they are home, working abroad at home. And the man they are working with, having had no exposure in the so-called elite institutions of the world, including Yale universities, having had no exposure of that nature, and having been a hero locally, he may not be able to see that the enemy is in his bedroom.
It's within.
Is within. So he's not being fought by people who are out there. So he can't listen to Zach, he can't listen to Willis, he can't listen to our elder, he can never listen to Azimio. He'll never listen to PG. Wakenya wanapiga kelele. You should remember what he said. You should know when to be popular.
Okay.
Let me say this. Yes. Let me say this. You know, in this Finance Act, there are over 200 new taxes or increased charges on taxation. Over 200. It has never happened. And when we say that Kenyans must have a conversation with their leaders, they must have a conversation with their members of parliament. Our constitution was a deliberately made document, and in Article 1, it gave the sovereign power to the people. And they said, we shall exercise it directly. Yeah. Or the first component is direct exercise, or through democratically elected representatives. In coming out on Tuesday to occupy parliament, we are exercising direct sovereignty and reclaiming our institutions, because the delegated representatives have now captured by the Westerners and the Bretton Woods institutions. They are no longer acting in cognizance of our desires. You know, we have a decision by the High Court of Kenya, Justice Odunga, where he had said public participation, he had actually defined public participation. And he said public participation must mean something. Yeah. It must be both quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative in terms of numbers. Qualitative in terms of the nature of discussions, how you sensitize your people, and you take into account their feedback. Now, in this particular instance, they attempted to limit the quantitative aspect, but Kenyans in their numbers came out, and they've spoken on all platforms, rejecting this finance bill. Yeah. Now, the qualitative part of it, their views, as per that decision of the High Court, must be taken into account. If 95% of Kenyans have rejected this finance bill, what does a member of parliament get authority from?
A mere member.
A mere member of parliament. Just a mere elected member of parliament or nominated member of parliament. Get the authority to come and ignore the views of his superiors.
Yeah, how?
We're taking a break. We'll come back with the last about 25 minutes of our discussion this afternoon. I mean, if we got 3 hours, we'll still go on and on. But as we take the break, John, if you could just bring out the Ishunga bite as we take the break. Stay with us.
Mere member.
Stop telling people at night that William Ruto is a one-term president and you will marshal your community to undermine, to sabotage the government of President William Ruto so that he fails that you become president. If you want to become president of Kenya, work in the position you have been given today to deliver to the people of Kenya, and when your time comes, they will see leadership in you. But if you seek to sabotage the government of Kenya for your own selfish ends, my brother, you will go absolutely nowhere.